If you think modern politics gets intense, imagine a world where one politician could literally march an army into the capital and still be cheered like a hero. A world where crossing one small river could start a civil war, and a world where that same man was stabbed to death not by foreign enemies, but by his own friends inside the Senate. That man was Julius Caesar. He wasn't just a Shakespeare character, he was real, smart, charming, ruthless, and dangerously ambitious. In this video, we're following his full journey, from a broke young noble to a superstar general to dictator for life to a death so famous the date still lives in our language, the Ides of March. And here's the big question: did Caesar destroy the Roman Republic, or was the Republic already dying and Caesar was just the final push? To understand Caesar, we have to start with the Rome he was born into. By the 2nd century BC, Rome was the superpower of its world. It beat Carthage, took Greece, and controlled huge territory around the Mediterranean. But inside, the Republic was cracking. War made Rome rich, but not evenly rich. A small elite got land, slaves, and wealth. Ordinary Roman farmers, who used to form the backbone of the army, lost their farms to huge estates worked by slaves. Many displaced farmers flooded into the city of Rome, and when a city fills up with unemployed, angry people, politics gets unstable fast. Roman politics split into two broad camps. On one side were the optimates, conservative senators protecting the old system and elite power. On the other were the populares, politicians who claimed they fought for the people and pushed land reforms and grain support. This wasn't polite debate, it turned violent. Reformers were attacked, politicians were murdered, and then something even worse happened. Generals started turning their armies into political weapons. Two men, Marius and Sulla, fought a brutal civil war. Sulla marched his army into Rome itself, something that used to be unthinkable, and he posted lists of enemies, people who could be killed on sight, their property seized. That's the world Caesar was born into, a republic with elections and senators, but also corruption, street violence, and generals learning they could rule by force. Julius Caesar was born around 100 BC into the Julii, an old noble family. They weren't the richest or strongest in his generation, but they had a powerful legend. They claimed descent from Aeneas, a hero of the Trojan War, and through him from the goddess Venus. Imagine growing up being told your bloodline is half divine. That doesn't make you humble, it makes you hungry. Caesar also had a dangerous family connection. His aunt was married to Marius, a political enemy of Sulla. When Sulla took power, Caesar became a target. Sulla ordered Caesar to divorce his wife, Cornelia, because of her political connections. Caesar refused. That one no almost got him killed. He fled Rome, moving between hiding places while friends begged Sulla to spare him. According to later writers, Sulla finally let Caesar live, but warned people around him to watch that young man. After Sulla's death, it became safer for Caesar to return. He served in the army, gained experience, and learned the real rule of Rome. If you want power, you need people to remember your name, and Caesar was willing to do almost anything to make sure they did. At some point early in his career, Caesar was captured by pirates in the Mediterranean. They demanded a ransom of 20 talents of silver. Caesar laughed and told them they didn't understand who they had captured and they should demand 50. While his friends gathered the money, Caesar stayed with the pirates and acted like he ran the place. He joked with them, read speeches to them, and promised that once he was free, he would come back and crucify them. They thought it was a joke. It wasn't. After the ransom was paid, Caesar raised a force, hunted the pirates down, captured them, and had them executed. That story shows Caesar in one moment: confident, charismatic, and absolutely ruthless. Back in Rome, Caesar climbed the political ladder, and he did something extremely risky. He spent money he didn't have. He borrowed heavily to fund public games and gladiator shows, because in Rome, popularity could be turned into votes, and votes could be turned into power. In 63 BC, Caesar ran for Pontifex Maximus, the top priest of Rome, a religious office with enormous political influence. He campaigned hard and won. Around the same time, Rome faced the Catiline conspiracy, a
plot to seize power. Caesar argued for legal restraint rather than instant execution, and conservatives used that to paint him as dangerous. Even then, Caesar kept moving forward. By the late 60s BC, three men towered over Rome: Pompey the Great, a legendary general; Crassus, one of the richest men in the city; and Caesar, popular with the masses and rising fast. The Senate kept blocking their goals, so Caesar made a private alliance with Pompey and Crassus. Later historians called it the First Triumvirate. It wasn't official, it was a deal. You help me, I help you, and we all win. In 59 BC, Caesar became consul, and he pushed through laws that benefited his allies and built his own base. The Senate hated him for it, but Caesar didn't care about being loved by senators. He cared about power. At the end of his consulship, he secured a major command in Gaul with legions under him for years. That meant money, battles, and most important, an army loyal to him.
Gaul, roughly modern France, was not fully Roman. It was divided into tribes and rivalries. Caesar used real threats as an excuse to expand, and he expanded hard. For 8 years, he fought campaign after campaign. He defeated the Helvetii, who tried to migrate through Roman territory. He fought Germanic forces under a leader named Ariovistus. He built a bridge over the Rhine to show he could strike across it whenever he wanted. He even crossed into Britain twice, partly for strategy, partly for reputation. Caesar didn't just fight. He wrote reports and sent them back to Rome, shaping his image as Rome's protector. His greatest opponent was Vercingetorix, a Gallic leader who united tribes against Rome. In 52 BC, Caesar trapped him inside the fortress of Alesia. Then a massive relief army arrived to break the siege. Caesar built 2 lines of walls, one facing inward to trap Alesia and one facing outward to defend against reinforcements. It meant fighting on 2 fronts at once. Caesar held. The Gauls broke. Vercingetorix surrendered. Alesia made Caesar a legend, and it created a terrifying reality for the Senate. Caesar's soldiers were loyal to Caesar, not to the Republic. While Caesar was winning in Gaul, politics in Rome shifted. Caesar's daughter Julia, married to Pompey to hold their alliance together, died. Then Crassus died in a disastrous eastern campaign. The alliance collapsed. Pompey moved closer to conservative senators and positioned himself as the defender of tradition, while Caesar looked like a rising dictator. Caesar's command in Gaul was ending. If he returned to Rome without his army, he would be vulnerable to prosecution and political destruction. Caesar offered a compromise. He would step down if Pompey did too. The Senate refused. They demanded Caesar dismiss his troops and return as a private citizen. Caesar knew what that meant, so he chose the path that broke the Republic's rules. Near the border of Italy was a small river, the Rubicon. By law, a Roman general could not bring an army across that line into Italy. To do so was to declare civil war. In January 49 BC, Caesar crossed anyway. This moment became famous because Caesar wasn't just moving soldiers, he was declaring that the Senate would not decide his fate. Caesar advanced fast. Pompey and many senators panicked and fled to Greece to regroup. Caesar entered Rome without a major battle, claiming he was saving the state. But the truth was clear. The old rules had lost. The decisive battle came at Pharsalus in 48 BC. Pompey had the bigger force. Caesar had fewer troops, but they were hardened veterans who trusted him. Caesar used clever tactics, broke Pompey's lines, and won a major victory. Pompey fled to Egypt, hoping for support. Instead, Egypt's rulers murdered him to impress Caesar. When Caesar arrived and was shown the result, he was reportedly disturbed. Pompey had been a rival, but he was also a Roman of enormous status. And now Caesar was pulled into Egypt's own crisis, the struggle between the young king Ptolemy XIII and his sister Cleopatra. Cleopatra made a bold move and met Caesar directly. Their relationship became legendary, political, and romantic. Caesar backed Cleopatra's claim, which triggered fighting in Alexandria. Eventually, Caesar's side won, Ptolemy died, and Cleopatra became the dominant ruler.
Cleopatra later had a son called Caesarion, Little Caesar, and many believed Caesar was the father. But Caesar still had enemies. Pompey's supporters fought in other regions, so Caesar campaigned again, defeating remaining resistance in North Africa and Spain. By 45 BC, he had no real rivals left. He returned to Rome as the most powerful person in the Roman world. Back in Rome, Caesar piled up titles and honors. He became dictator, then dictator for life. Romans hated kings and their identity, and this sounded like monarchy. Caesar insisted he wasn't a king, but many of his actions looked king-like. His face appeared on coins, statues went up, special honors and seats were granted in the Senate. At the same time, he carried out real reforms. He reformed the calendar, the Julian calendar, the base of our calendar today. He reorganized debts, resettled veterans, planned building projects, expanded citizenship, and tried to modernize administration. Many ordinary Romans liked him because he ended years of chaos. Many senators feared him because he concentrated too much power.
A group of senators formed a secret conspiracy. Two key names were Cassius and Brutus. Brutus is especially famous because Caesar trusted him and had spared him earlier. The conspirators chose a day when Caesar would attend a Senate meeting with limited protection, March 15th, 44 BC, the Ides of March. Later stories add omens and warnings, but we know this: Caesar went. The Senate met in the theater of Pompey. As Caesar entered, conspirators crowded around with petitions. Then one man struck, and then daggers flashed everywhere. Caesar was stabbed repeatedly and collapsed at the base of Pompey's statue, dying in the heart of Roman politics. The famous "Et tu, brute" line is from Shakespeare, not confirmed history, but the meaning is still brutal. Caesar was killed by men who sat beside him. The assassins expected cheers. They expected to be called saviors of the Republic. Instead, Rome fell into confusion. Mark Antony moved quickly to control the moment. At Caesar's funeral, Antony used emotion and politics masterfully. He reminded the crowd of Caesar's gifts and reforms, showed Caesar's bloody clothing, and revealed Caesar's will, money, and benefits left to the people. Public anger exploded. The assassins fled. More civil wars followed. Caesar's heir, Octavian, rose. Antony and Octavian fought, then allied, then fought again. In the end, Octavian won and became Augustus, the first emperor. The Republic survived in name, but real power now belonged to one man. The attempt to save the Republic helped create an empire. So what do we make of Julius Caesar? He was a brilliant general, a master politician, a reformer, and a man whose ambition broke Rome's old rules. Some see him as a hero who stabilized a corrupt system. Others see him as a warning about what happens when one person gathers too much power. And his name became a title: Caesar, Kaiser, Czar. Even today, we still use Caesar as shorthand for someone who takes control over everything. His story keeps coming back because it isn't just about ancient Rome. It's about ambition, institutions, power, fear, and what happens when a republic stops acting like one. Julius Caesar didn't just change Rome, he changed the idea of what one person can do inside a broken political system. He rose because Rome was already in crisis, but once he took power, he pushed the republic past the point of no return. And that's why his story still feels modern. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more full story history videos like this, hit like, drop a comment telling me which moment shocked you the most, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episode. We've only just started with Rome, and the next chapter gets even crazier. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.